recipes that I make are inspired by my family's recipes. An example is this rajma, where I really took the general idea from my dad of how he makes it, and then I kind of tweaked it. You start to kind of realize that you can learn as much as you can about recipes, but in your own kitchen, you kind of make them your own. Hi, I'm Chitra Agrawal, author of Vibrant India and co-founder at Brooklyn Deli, where we make sauces and condiments inspired by my family's recipes from India. Today I'm going to show you how to make rajma, a North Indian and Pakistani kidney bean curry that I learned from my father. I'm also going to be showing you in the next videos how to use leftover rajma to make rajma veggie burgers and rajma tacos. So be sure to subscribe so you can see those videos too. Let's get started and make our rajma. I am going to put our heat up to a medium-high, and we're going to use a high heat flavorless oil. And I wanted to introduce you to the Indian spice dabba. I have a spice dabba that has South Indian spices. I have one that has North Indian spices. You can have your most used spices all in one place, so you don't have to fumble with a bunch of different spice jars. This is probably, one of my most used kitchen tools. I'm just gonna put a big pinch of our asafetida. It is a resin. I definitely think you should seek it out, especially if you like to make Indian food. It's kind of like the missing element, I feel like, when people are making Indian food at home and they feel like it doesn't taste right. Asafetida, I think, is really key. A teaspoon of cumin seeds. Put some of the cinnamon in there. And that's actually my addition. So my dad doesn't use the whole spices in his recipe. The garam masala basically has all of these whole spices in it. I'm gonna put the bay leaf in there. So now we want to kind of get these spices going and a little bit toasty. You can kind of tell when the spices are ready for you to start putting in the onions, because the cumin seeds will kind of dance around a little bit. Okay. And you can use, if you have a red onion, yellow, or the recipe is forgiving in that sense. I've even used leeks. Now I'm just coating the onion with the oil and getting it going. And a lot of times I feel like people feel like if you're making Indian food, you should cook with ghee. But this dish is so creamy on its own that it's really not necessary. You don't even need that much oil, I feel like, when you're making it. So now my onions have been coated in the oil, and this is when I add a little bit of turmeric powder. And I would say a quarter to a third teaspoon. This is also, depending on the amount of time you have, of course, it's better if you can kind of cook the onions down, almost get them browned and kind of even a little bit caramelized. But I'm just gonna maybe just cook them until they're kind of soft. So this dish is, it's really a comfort food dish, and a lot of times you'll serve rajma with rice, and that's referred to as rajma chawal. I don't know why rajma is just not as well known as chana masala. I feel like people are so crazy for the chickpea, but I actually prefer kidney beans. Don't get me wrong, I like chickpeas, but I just feel like kidney beans don't get the love that they deserve. So now they're pretty soft. So I'm gonna throw in the ginger and the garlic. If you have green chili, that also is something that you can put in with the ginger and the garlic. I'm just making this for my baby and for my 3-year-old, so I kind of make it a little bit more mild. And at this point, I'm gonna add in our coriander seed powder. This is a spice I feel like you should grind fresh. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of red chili powder. So the spices are getting nice and toasted and kind of mingling with the onion, ginger, and garlic. And now I'm gonna add in our tomatoes. I'm using these diced canned tomatoes, but you can use fresh tomatoes. Sometimes if I'm in a pinch, I'll just use a few tablespoons of tomato paste and water. Let the sauce just cook a bit and have the tomatoes break down. a bit. You could add a little bit of garam masala at this point too. I'll add a little bit. Season the dish also with some of that. And we can add some salt also at this point. My dad is from North India, but my mother is from South India. So I also make South Indian dishes, and there's just so much variety in India as far as just regional styles of cooking. The spices are very different, the dishes, the traditions. So this is just one dish from one part of the country, and it's also made in Pakistan as well. My parents, they will just cook this off so it'll be more chunky, but with my kids I've started to kind of blend some of the sauces, and I actually kind of like it. So I do like take out kind of like the whole spices when it's all cooked down, and I will blend it, and then I will add the kidney beans and finish it off. If you do end up blending it, you may have to add a little bit more liquid. I also feel like when you're blending cooked onions too, it adds another creamy texture to the sauce, which is nice. And now I'm gonna add in the beans. I pressure cook these actually. They just get this kind of creamy quality to them, and they really kind of melt in your mouth. Not the end of the world. If you add too much liquid, just boil it off. The rajma is looking nice and saucy. Rajma the first day is a little bit more saucy. The first night we serve it with rice to have rajma chawal, or you could also, if you want, serve it with a chapati or a paratha. And then the second day it gets a little bit thicker, and so that's when it's really good to make into the veggie burger recipe and the taco recipe that I'm going to share with you in the next videos. So now this is kind of getting to temperature. So I'm gonna just season this with a little bit of this amchur powder. I really like the flavor of the dried green mango powder. Otherwise, you can use other kind of souring elements if you want that kind of sweet sour flavor. And I'm gonna add a tiny bit of this garam masala just to season it. So every household, I feel like, makes rajma a different way, but also every household makes their garam masala a different way. This one that I use most often is super simple for my grandmother. She only used 4 ingredients in her garam masala: black pepper, clove, cardamom, and cinnamon. This is our rajma. It's very luscious. You know, if you want it to be thicker, you could just continue to cook it. I have it served here with a mix of basmati and quinoa, and then I like to layer on the rajma with plain yogurt, a little bit of my roasted garlic achar, tomato achar, and then the fresh cut onion and the cilantro, and you gotta get the perfect bite. I mean, there's so many different flavors. Warming spices, the tomato, the caramelized onion, the ginger, the garlic. It's really delicious. And this is rajma chawal. This is the comfort food of North India. I hope you enjoy it. Leave a comment or like this video, and don't forget to subscribe because I will be sharing with you a recipe for rajma tacos and rajma veggie burgers using your leftover rajma.